Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Movies and Melodies. Today, I'll be sharing the story and the songs of one of the most prolific lyricists in the Hindi film industry, Anand Bakshi Ji. He was a very humble, self-deprecating man. The reality was, even though he was such a prolific lyricist, he was also an incredibly versatile and very skilled lyricist. He was actually a poet, even though he never quite uh, considered himself, as one of the great poets. He was born in Rawalpindi, undivided India, on July 21st, 1930. He lived in a joint family. His grandfather was the deputy superintendent of police, and his father was a banker. His mother, Sumitra ji, passed away when he was only 6 years old. And his father remarried. He married his late wife's cousin, Yashoda Devi, and they had 6 children. Bakshi ji had a good relationship with his half-siblings, but all his life he yearned for his mother. He missed her, and this was very apparent in all the beautiful songs that he's written describing a mother's love. So for the first song today, I want to share a very, very beautiful song from the movie Amar Prem. Lata ji has sung this song. It is one of my favorites. She has imbued the song with so much emotion when she has sung it. Sharmila ji on screen singing to this little child that she wishes was her own. It's a very poignant song and just exquisite. S.D. Burman's music, of course. R.D. Burman's music for the movie. Thinking of Burman Dada, but it was his son. So, from Amar Prem, Bada Natkhat hai re Krishna Kanhaiya.
बड़ा नटखट है रे कृष्ण कन्हैया का करे यशोदा मैया बड़ा नटखट है रे कृष्ण कन्हैया का करे यशोदा मैया बड़ा नटखट है रे ढूंढे रे अखियाँ उसे चहुओं जाने कहाँ छुप गया नंद किशोर ढूंढे रे अखियाँ उसे चहुओं जाने कहाँ छुप गया नंद किशोर उड़ गया ऐसे जैसे पुरवैया का करे यशोदा मैया मैया रे का करे यशोदा मैया बड़ा नटखट है रे
Anand Bakshi ji, even as a child, was very, very into music and poetry. So, even as a young child, he was writing stories, scripts, lyrics for local productions of Soni Mahiwal or, the Ram Leela celebrations and so on. He even participated in these things. He loved to act and he was a very good singer as well. In fact, he did sing for a couple of movies. Mom Ki Gudiya, there are 2 songs in that he has sung himself. And then the beginning part of Charas, there's a duet there that he has sung even in that. He didn't take it up as a career, but he loved to sing. Music was a big thing for him. He loved the simple sounds of village life, like the folksy kind of tunes. He also loved nature and the kind of poetry that he wrote later on in life as well included a lot of, like the beauty of nature in it. He was, I think, a very, very young, maybe barely a teenager, when his first poem actually was published in a local publication in Rawalpindi. Sadly, he couldn't share it with anyone in his family because they were all very against anything to do with the performing industry. They thought films were below their dignity. They were from a very martial community. So, they were Fauji's and police. They were in that kind of a profession. And for them, someone in the movie industry or an actor or a performer, it seemed like a useless occupation for them. So poor Anand Bakshi ji was never able to quite share his love for this thing with his family. It was mainly with all of his friends that he shared this. For the next song, I want to share a very beautiful one. It's a lullaby. It's been sung by Mukesh ji so sweetly. There is so much pathos, so much love in it. The lyrics are just exquisite. Again, it ranks among one of my top lullabies of Bollywood. This is from the movie Milan. This came out in the late 60s, and it was the movie that basically put Anand Bakshi very firmly on the map of Bollywood lyrics. So from Milan, Lakshmikant Pyaralal's music, राम करे ऐसा हो जाए मेरी निंदिया तोहे मिल जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए.
राम करे ऐसा हो जाए मेरी निंदिया तोहे मिल जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए हो. राम करे ऐसा हो जाए मेरी निंदिया तोहे मिल जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए हो. गुजर जाए सुख से तेरी दुख भरी रतियां बदल लूं मैं तो से अखियां. गुजर जाए सुख से तेरी दुख भरी रतियां बदल लूं मैं तो से अखियां. बस में अगर हो ये बतियां मांगू दुआएं हाथ उठाए मेरी निंदिया तोहे मिल जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए मैं जागूं तू सो जाए.
Bakshi ji had an unsuccessful attempt to head to Bombay when he was only 13 years old. He sold his textbooks, managed to buy a ticket, and a couple of his friends were supposed to accompany him, and they stood him up at the last minute. His father, grandfather found out, were very upset, and they decided to put him in a sort of boarding school, a Gurukul, in Jammu. He was intensely unhappy here. He felt very abandoned. He felt that his family had distanced themselves from him emotionally. And the sense of abandonment was to follow him throughout his life. He ran away from the Gurukul somewhere probably mid-year, came back to Rawalpindi. At that point, his family decided to enroll him in the Indian Royal Navy. This was still under British India. And he became like one of the naval boys. He was only 14 years old and he was posted to the ship in Karachi. He was actually quite happy because Karachi was close enough to Rawalpindi so he could visit his family. And the other dream that he had was that the ship would sail and go to Bombay and he would be able to go and join films there. However, that never happened. He did join the mutiny that happened in Karachi Harbour in 1946. This led to him being dismissed from the army. And then he got a job as a ticket clerk in a movie theatre in Rawalpindi. And this sort of let him watch movies for free. Sadly, of course, the subcontinent was torn apart violently in 1947. And this was a very, very traumatic experience for Bakshi Ji. His family had to uproot themselves from Pindi and go to Delhi. Luckily, because his grandfather was in the police force, they were able to get safe passage. Of course, they had to leave everything behind. They barely had much money. They got to Delhi and they found themselves a small place to live in as refugees. And within 40 days of leaving Pindi, all three of these men, his grandfather, his father, and himself, were all employed. He joined the Indian Army, the Free India's army at that point, in the Corps of Signals, which was the communication division. He was to miss Rawalpindi all his life. That was what he called his mitti. And apparently, before he left Pindi, he had collected a bottle of soil that he kept with him all his life. When he was in the army, he seriously started writing poetry and writing plays and such to perform in the army. They used to have a lot of talent shows and annual performances and so on within the army, and he was very, very successful here. He also read a lot of poetry and was highly influenced by Mahakavi Dinanath Madhok's poetry. He was his first poetic influence. And the other two people whose poetry he greatly admired and wished to emulate were Sahir Ludhianvi and Shailendraji. So for the next song that I want to share with you, it is such a beautifully moving song. And Bakshi Ji felt that he was somehow disadvantaged because he didn't go to college or study in Hindi. He studied in Urdu medium. He graduated, I think, 9th class, and then he started to work. So he always felt more comfortable with Urdu. He always wrote everything in Urdu, and then other people would transcribe it into Hindi even when he came into films. So he always felt his lack of Hindi knowledge was a disadvantage. But in my opinion, that actually led him to express very complicated philosophical thoughts or emotions in the most beautifully simple way. So this song from Aradhana, essentially like the title song, it plays through the whole movie in little snippets. S.D. Burman himself has sung it because his music, and he sang the song himself. Bakshi Ji's words in Burman Dada's voice it takes you to another level. I mean, look at this verse. Diya toote to ye mati, which means if a mud lamp, if it breaks, it's only mud. Jale to ye jyoti bane. So if it's lit, then it becomes light. Sorry, I have to look at the words now. Bahe aasu to hai pani. If you cry, you let your tears fall, it's only water. Ruke to ye moti bane. If you hold your tears back, then they become pearls. Ye moti aankhon ki punji hai, which means hold these tears in because they are the wealth of your eyes. Let these not be given away easily. What an absolutely fabulous imagery here, right? So from Aradhana, Kahe ko roye.
काहे को रोए चाहे जो होए सफल होगी तेरी आराधना काहे को रोए चाहे जो होए सफल होगी तेरी आराधना काहे को रोए दिया टूटे तू है माटी जले तो ये ज्योति बने दिया टूटे तू है माटी जले तो ये ज्योति बने बहे आंसू तो है पानी रुके तो ये मोती बने ओ ये मोती आँखों की पूंजी है ये ना खोए काहे को रोए चाहे जो होए
Now, Bakshi ji knew that to realize his dream, he had to move to Bombay at some point. So he tried, before going, making this attempt to go to Bombay, to polish his writing. He met Bismil Saeedi Saab, who was a poet, editor, and he edited this monthly magazine called 20वीं सदी or 20th century. Bakshi ji used to read this monthly regularly, so he was familiar with Saeedi Saab, and he, talked to him and requested him to mentor him and polish his writing, which Saeedi did very, very happily. So that was going on while he was in Jabalpur in the army. In the meanwhile, in 1954, somewhere around September or so, his aunt, his father's sister, recommended this young girl who was from her husband's side, a niece from her husband's side, whom she thought would make a very, very good match for Bakshi ji. So within a month, the two of them were married. His wife was from Lucknow, and her name was Kamla ji, and she came and lived with Bakshi ji, and in 1956, they had a baby girl, Suman. Bakshi ji always considered the birth of a girl as a lucky thing, because this was something his grandmother had told him, that the birth of a girl child actually brings luck to the family. So he saw this as a sign, and he decided that he was going to move to Bombay soon. He had actually made an earlier attempt to go to Bombay in 1950. And this was not successful. He had requested a dismissal from the army. It was a temporary thing. He went to Bombay, struggled a lot, went to all the film studios, but no one was willing to even listen to his poetry. And he became very dejected. He was running out of money. So he came back. He returned to Delhi, actually, at that point, and he wanted to try for a position in the AIR as a radio host, or maybe singing for the radio, stuff like that. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out as well. So he went back to the army and he worked in the electrical and mechanical engineering division. He qualified as an electrician class 3. And all of this was going on. And then he got married and his daughter was born. At this point, he felt he was ready to make a permanent attempt to move to Bombay, which he did. And this time around, he strategized how he was going to do all of this, and worked very, very hard at writing new stuff every evening when he made the rounds of the studios during the day. So for my next song, I want to share one which I feel kind of defines how the industry saw him, or at least some people who were his critics in the film industry saw him. I think he was always very underappreciated, and somehow I mean, I have read critical comments about Bakshi ji's lyrics that it's, oh, he's only a film lyricist. Whatever that means, I mean, come on, writing lyrics actually is a lot more difficult because you are confined, especially in the Hindi film industry, by the tune and the meter that the music composer has set. You have the scene that's been described to you, you have a certain kind of language they want you to use. I mean, there are some situations where he had to write like nonsense words. It's not easy to, I honestly try it. If you even have this smattering of knowledge of poetry, try doing things by setting these various parameters and writing. It's incredibly difficult. So when people dissed him as just a lyricist, it just makes me so mad. But this song, it's so beautiful. Kishorda has sung it very, very beautifully. He's got that pain in his voice when he sings this song. It's from Namak Haram, R.D. Burman's music, and it's picturized on Rajesh Khanna. Rajesh Khanna loved Anand Bakshi ji's lyrics. He felt that it's because Aradhana was such a hit, he felt that his words were what really kind of carried him to the next level. So Anand Bakshi ji wrote a lot of Rajesh Khanna's songs for him. So this particular one is so beautiful from Namak Haram, Main Shayar Badnaam.
मैं शायर बदनाम हो मैं चला महफिल से नाकाम हो मैं चला मैं शायर बदनाम। घर से तुमको कुछ सामान मिलेगा, दीवाने शायर का एक दीवान मिलेगा, और एक चीज मिलेगी टूटा खाली जान हो मैं चला मैं शायर बदनाम।
The second chance in Bombay, he strategized like an army man. He had also made up his mind to find a job as a taxi driver if his film career did not pan out. Every single day, he would make sure he went to all the movie studios, he would wait there for hours, made sure he met at least 4 to 5 people by the end of the day. In the evenings, he would come back and he would write poetry. It was incredible, this kind of dedication that he had towards his craft. And he was, of course, there was pressure too, because he had left his wife and baby behind. Kamlaji lived with her in-laws for a little bit. Then she moved to Lucknow to be with her parents. Her father was not very happy about his son-in-law moving to Bombay to basically, become a performer kind of a thing, right? His father-in-law was essentially of the same community as them, and he was also a retired army man, so this was like humiliating for him that his son-in-law had chosen this profession. So there was a lot of pressure on Anand Bakshi ji at this point. One day, when he had gone to Ranjit Studios, Bhagwan Dada, at that time, was a very big man. He was directing his first film called Bhala Admi. And he apparently was very stressed out. Now, the office boy who Bakshi ji had made friends with told Bakshi ji that he's very stressed out. Apparently, the lyricist was supposed to show up and didn't show up. And so he was like, oh my God, what are we going to do about the song, kind of a thing. So Anand Bakshi seized his chance and he went in and directly spoke to Bhagwan Dada and said, hey, look, I'm a poet, I'm a lyricist. I can write for you, give me a chance. So Bhagwan Dada, who had also struggled in his life, said, okay, narrated the story to him and said, I'll give you 2 weeks, I want one song. So Bakshi ji went back. In 2 weeks, he produced 4 songs, came back to Bhagwan Dada, and Dada liked all of his songs, so he bought all 4 and he paid him 150 rupees for it. And the first recorded song of Anand Bakshi in Bollywood was from this movie. It was released in 56. It took very long. I mean, it was recorded in 56, but it took very long to actually work on the movie and release it. So I think it took like 2 years. When it was released, it was a flop. So the music also sort of went by the wayside. He was still struggling to get a job, get recognized. Another wonderful thing happened. Bakshi ji was getting very, very distressed because again, he was running out of money and nothing was panning out for him. He was sitting at Marine Line's railway station writing poetry when a ticket collector came by and asked him for his ticket. And he obviously didn't have one. And he realized that this young man didn't have the money even to pay a fine. Then he noticed that he had written something, so he asked him about it. And it turns out that the ticket collector was a poetry buff. So he sat with this young boy, listened to his story, and at the end of it all, he told him not to go back, defeated by Bombay, but to stay on. He said that his family lived in Agra, so he lived alone in Bombay, and he had the room to have someone else come and stay with him. This kindness really changed things around for Anand Bakshi ji. This man's name was Chittarmal Swaroop, and he always felt that this man was almost like his mother who's come down to help her son. He lived with this man for several years, and Chittarmal ji was so kind. Not only was Bakshi ji living there for free, he would also give him money every day. He would just slip it into his pocket so that he wouldn't have to ask for money. That humiliation was not there. After he met Chittarmal ji, and about a year or so after that, he happened to meet with the great Roshan. And there were several meetings where he was supposed to go and discuss things with Roshan ji, but for some reason or the other, they kept getting cancelled. Then finally, Roshan ji said, come home on such and such a day and we will go over this whole thing. So Anand Bakshi ji was ready to go when this incredible storm hit Bombay. But Anand Bakshi ji was determined. He was a Fauji after all. And he had like a Fauladi Dil. So he wrapped his diary, which had all his songs in it, up and very carefully. And he walked nearly 20 kilometers to Roshan Saab's house, drenched to the skin. And Roshan Saab was like, you didn't have to do this. It was not necessary for you to come in this rain. But Bakshi ji said, may not have been necessary for you, but it was necessary for me. I have to get this job. And the songs that he wrote for him were a huge hit. And that sort of set him now on a steadier path towards stardom. Because once Roshan ji worked with him in several movies, other music directors felt confident to hire Anand Bakshi ji. And in 1965, he got this movie with Kalyanji Anandji, which really made a difference in his career. Coincidentally, it also made a huge difference to Shashi Kapoor, because until then, Shashi Kapoor did not have a hit movie in Bollywood. Jab Jab Phool Khile with Nanda ji in the lead with Shashi Kapoor, this movie made the careers of 2 people. And the songs that Anand Bakshi ji has written in this movie are absolutely fabulous. Especially there's a very sad song that he sings at the end, Yahan Main Ajnabi Hoon. I like sad songs. And this was such a beautifully written sad song. But I'm not sharing that. I'm sharing an exquisitely romantic song that was a solo by Lata ji. There is so much of yearning, and this young girl is dreaming of her future love, and it's just, oh, such a beautiful song. From Jab Jab Phool Khile, Ye Sama.
ये समा समा है ये प्यार का किसी के इंतजार का दिल ना चुरा ले कहीं मेरा मौसम बहार का ये समा समा है ये प्यार का किसी के इंतजार का दिल ना चुरा ले कहीं मेरा मौसम बहार का बसने लगे आँखों में कुछ ऐसे सपने बसने लगे आँखों में कुछ ऐसे सपने कोई बुलाए जैसे नैनों से अपने ये समा है दीदार का किसी के इंतजार का दिल ना चुरा ले कहीं मेरा मौसम बहार का
In 1963, Bakshi ji was able to bring his family to live with him in Bombay. By then, he had had another child in 1961, his son Rajesh, and in 1964 and 65, his other two children, Rakesh and Kavita, were also born. His family was now complete. Bakshi ji was such an amazing writer. I mean, his versatility is legend. Whether it was, romantic songs like Bahosho, Hawas Mein Deewana, oh, what an amazingly romantic song, or very sad, beautifully sad songs like Yahan Main Ajnabi Hoon, or from Devar Aaya Hai Mujhe Phir Yaad Wo Zalim, or fun ones like Paisa Paisa, or even Choli Ke Piche Kya Hai, or amazingly philosophical songs like from Amar Prem, Kuch To Log Kahenge, or Ye Kya Hua. He could span such a huge range of songwriting. The other thing I always felt with Anand Bakshi ji was he was able to write in the voice of the character that he was writing for. That's a very, very difficult skill, by the way. I mean, you can write beautiful poetry, you can write beautiful lyrics, but to sound like the person, like that, the actor playing the role, or that particular character within the movie, it's a very, very difficult skill to have, especially in our Indian movies, because you're writing for such a range of different characters and situations. I mean, it's fascinating. I would love it if all of you went back and searched for all his different songs. His qawwalis also, like his early one, Meri Tasveer Lekar Kya Karogi Tum. It is such a fabulous qawwali. I highly recommend that you listen to it. On the personal front, Bakshi ji started, his health started failing. He also started having anxiety issues because of all the tremendous trauma that had happened in his life. His mother passing away, his family not quite understanding that, he really needed to be in the arts. And then, of course, partition. I mean, what a horrendous time in his life. So all of these left him with anxiety and this absolute fear of being alone. And in 2001, he had a minor stroke. He recovered from it. But in 2002, he had another stroke. He went into a coma and sadly passed away on March 30th of 2002. For the last song today, I want to share one that is a beautiful, beautiful duet. Mannada Lataji. This is from a movie called Jyoti. It came out in 1969. Sanjeev Kumar, Nivedita in the lead. Now, this song is the picturization is on this young couple. They are talking about this child that is going to be born. She is expecting a baby, and both of them are singing about what it'll be like for this child to come into this world. And it is how Bakshi ji has just expressed it so beautifully. So from Jyoti, Soch ke ye gagan jhume.
जब निकल आएगा देखेगा ना कोई गगन को चांद को ही देखेंगे सारे चांद जब निकल आएगा
That's it for today, folks. As always, I am torn. When I do biographies, I feel like I could do this for hours because there is so much more about the person you want to talk about, and there is so much about the person's work that you want to discuss in detail and go on and on and on. Always, time is an issue, and I can't keep, how long can you guys also sit and listen, frankly? I'll be back with more on Anand Bakshi ji, maybe a radio program-esque thing where I just play his songs, all of my favorite songs of Anand Bakshi ji. In the meanwhile, I would like you, if you are interested in this kind of thing, to read his biography. His younger son, Rakesh Bakshi, has written a biography about his father. It's beautiful. You really get a glimpse into the mind of this wonderful man. For those of you who have subscribed to my channel, thank you, thank you. And for those of you who have not, please go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel and spread the word among your family and friends. I will be back in 2 weeks, but until then, remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.